Okay, I will show how to add p-values to a basic plot in R. So I will start with the data, which is bark samples. Let's look, it's if we have a bark sample from a spruce tree, and I studying the number of females that have attacked the bark sample. And you can see that under the bark, because we have an egg gallery, so we counted the number of egg galleries under the bark. And this is the data. I will exclusively look at the year 2021. And when I do the statistics of the number of the attack density, the number of females, and it is counts, and it was over dispersed, so I used the negative binomial to control for that. I have the number of galleries, and I have the management. The management is 3 different scores of forest protection. I have the managed forest, I have nature reserves, and I have some conservation areas called woodland key habitats. We can, yeah. And I do some box plot this, and you can see that this is the managed forest and the number and the attack density of the bark beetles. So it's low here, and in the managed forest it has increased somewhat in the nature reserves, but we also have a large variation. But in the woodland key habitats, they are a bit higher. And if we look at the results of this summary of test 3C, we can see that we have the contrast of managed forest, and you can see that the woodland key habitat is significantly different from the managed forest. It's a higher attack density in the woodland key habitats compared to the production forest or the managed forest. So I wanted to include that variation between, or this significance between the managed forest and the woodland key habitat. I realized that it's quite hard to do that in the basic plots. It's easier with ggplots, but I think that ggplots is quite posh. I commonly more like the design of the basic plots in R. So what you can do is to add an arrow. I can just show that if we change this length, which is the size of the arrowhead, it looks like this. And we only have an arrow that is directed to the right hand and is defined by this code 2. I also added where the arrow should be on the start of the x-axis and the end of the x-axis, which is the number 1 here. We have the number 3 here. Also, I wanted to add the arrow at the height of 550, which is here. But this arrow is only directed to the right, and then we can add an additional arrow. So and I write the code number 1 here, which means that it will be directed to the left. So when I paste this, we have an arrow on the left. And as you can see, I changed the size of the head by the function length to 1.0, but of course they should be the same size. So I copy this, I add it to R, and then we have, oh sorry, I have to change this to 1. We have the box plot and we have the same size of the heads like this, and we have a double-headed arrow to specify that the significance is between the woodland key habitat and the managed forest. And then we add the text function with specify that I want to have the text on the x-axis in the middle, which is number 2 between 1 and 3, and a bit above the arrow, which is I set to 570, and the p-value is 0.01. So when I do this, I just add the text to the plot. And here I specify that the difference between managed forest and the woodland key habitat is 0.01. Thank you.